Welcome to St. Paul's Episcopal Church. This virtual tour features the exterior and interior of the building, which includes the largest collection of Tiffany windows in the state of Wisconsin. Our tour highlights the architectural artistry of the building and the majesty of the 46 stained glass windows. As an accompaniment to our tour, you will hear organ works performed on the Schanz organ by Canon Joseph A. Kucharski, Director of Liturgy and Music, and Mr. Ted L. King, Associate Organist. Vocal music is provided by the choral scholars of St. Paul's, who maintain the lively tradition of musical excellence for which St. Paul's has been justly famous. The cornerstone for the church was laid in 1883. Founded in May of 1838, St. Paul's was the first Episcopal church in the city of Milwaukee and the third in the state of Wisconsin. A listing of St. Paul's founding members reads like a who's who of entrepreneurs who moved from the East Coast to Milwaukee to make their fortunes. Members included many prominent citizens of the time. This helped the church to become the most influential Episcopal congregation in the state of Wisconsin. Their children and their children's children formed the nucleus of the congregation for generations to come. The church's present building was designed by E. Townsend Mix in the Richardson Romanesque style. The exterior utilizes red Potsdam sandstone from Bass Island, one of the Apostle Islands in Lake Superior. Parishioner Daniel L. Wells donated the stone, which was shipped by boat from Bayfield, Wisconsin. It is believed that St. Paul's closely resembles a building actually designed by architect Henry Hobson Richardson, whose plans were published in the Architectural Sketchbook in 1873, but never built. St. Paul's is listed on the National Registry of Historic Places and was selected by the Historic American Buildings Survey as an important example of architectural heritage. The lighted tower of St. Paul's continues to be a beacon on the east side, visible from the Milwaukee harbor and beyond. The traditional cruciform design of the building is pronounced when viewed from above the building. St. Paul's is located in the downtown neighborhood of Juneautown, east of the Milwaukee River. Historically, the neighborhood has been considered wealthy, with a comfortable urban feel and an ideal place to live. The ambiance continues today as the parish is situated in an area with a population of 5,600 people. The neighborhood continues to rank as one of the best places to live in the state of Wisconsin. The interior of St. Paul's Church was modified after a fire in December of 1950. The modifications affected only the chancel and the east transept. A restoration in 2011, which included the installation of the Schanz organ, resulted in the current configuration. This configuration is remarkably close to the original pre-1950 configuration. The alignment of the pews appears to be somewhat eccentric when you see them from the drone's perspective. The design is methodical, however. For decades, the major source of income for the parish came from annual pew rental. The Pew Committee annually set the rental price and issued pew deeds, examples of which can still be found in the parish archives. Varying the sizes of the pews allowed for seating different size of families. One did not necessarily rent a whole pew, but that portion of a pew that was appropriate for the size of the family. The late 1800s was a time of significant religious fervor in the United States, and a time when new wealth was being amassed. Between 1875 and 1910, some of America's most significant religious structures were erected. Many of these churches benefited from the desire to create a public testament to God with impressive and enduring architecture and objects of religious art. St. Paul's is representative of that movement in church history. The church is an active house of worship while also serving as a museum of art and architecture. After 136 years, St. Paul's remains an enduring representation of the parish's commitment to seek, through art and music, an opportunity to perfect the praises offered by God's people on earth and to grant them glimpses of God's beauty. In the early 1870s, John Lafarge and Louis Comfort Tiffany were developing a new type of glass called opalescent glass, where color is infused into the glass rather than painted on the surface of the glass. The process creates a very different texture and provides hues that are dramatically affected by the changes in sunlight. Churches like St. Paul's, built during that period, have some of America's most significant collections of stained glass. St. Paul's is home to the largest collection of Tiffany glass in the state of Wisconsin, and that is due in part to the relationship that Tiffany Studios had with Chapman's department store in Milwaukee. The Miller family, who operated Chapman's, were members of St. Paul's. Tiffany windows have a distinctive style that blends the texture of glass with an artistic sense of color within the glass to achieve a unique translucent quality in the windows. An important factor to understand about this type of stained glass is the thickness and weight, which contributes to the long-term maintenance and restoration concerns. To achieve Tiffany quality and color, the artists of Tiffany Studios would layer glass, often of different hues, to achieve the desired color. This layering creates heavy windows, which are supported by lead braces called cames, which hold the glass in place. Lead, being a soft metal, will slide downward under the weight of the glass. This downward pressure causes bowing of the windows and requires regular maintenance. Christ Leaving the Praetorium by Louis Comfort Tiffany, 1884. This is the largest window ever made by Tiffany Studios of New York. It spans 30 feet in length, 24 feet in height, and reaches up to 2 inches in thickness. It is a copy of Paul Gustave Doré's masterpiece, Christ Leaving the Praetorium. The window was donated by the daughter of Jackson Kemper, who was the first Episcopal bishop of Wisconsin. It was given in memory of her father. The Rose Window was created by Tiffany Studios and installed sometime prior to 1890. It was donated by Mrs. E.H. Broadhead. The center frame is composed of a series of angels' faces. If there is any particular theme intended for this window, it is unclear from our church records. The outer parts of the window make use of pressed glass to create many different surfaces for light to pass through. The many surfaces provide this window with a unique light refracting quality. The St. Cecilia window was created by Macaulay and Miles from Chicago. This is the Pearson Memorial Window, and it is dedicated to Hiram and Maria Pearson by their daughter, Mrs. George Mitchell. The design is based on a painting by Raphael depicting the patron saint of music, St. Cecilia, who is the legendary inventor of the organ. She is standing in a niche, which is a common design characteristic of Macaulay and Miles. The window was rebuilt in the recent past, and some of the original structural components of the frame have been modified. However, much of the original glass remains intact. Christ in the Garden of Gethsemane was designed by Tiffany Studios and installed in 1915. The window was designed by Louis Comfort Tiffany himself, and if you look in the lower right-hand corner of the window, you will see his name in script. One should note that the Tiffany signature plate changed over the years, and that not all Tiffany windows have the same markings of authenticity. This window is based on a very popular religious picture of this era, and the Tiffany Studios duplicated this particular scene on a number of occasions. If this window has an unusual characteristic, it is found in the presence of the angel in the upper half of the window. There is no historical reference to an angel being present in this biblical scene, suggesting that Tiffany was not beyond embellishing either the story or not beyond satisfying the needs of the donor. The Enunciation Window presents a little bit of a puzzle. Historical documents of the church attribute this window to Tiffany. However, the design and artistic attributes of this window place that designation in doubt. The window is dedicated to Helena Lee Wells by her family. This window appears to be two separate efforts, with the top part representing the Annunciation, and is the section of the window not in keeping with the Tiffany style. The bottom half of the window is representative of some of the early work of Tiffany. Church records suggest that this work was in place when the church was opened in 1884. If this were the case, it is possible that this may be an early work of Tiffany, since he didn't begin significant church work until the late 1870s. The window in the west transept is actually 4 different windows, and this is not atypical of many church windows that sought donors to fill in such large spaces. The center lancet of the window is designed by the London firm of Heaton, Butler and Bain, one of the largest and most important studios in Victorian England. This section, like other sections, deals with death and resurrection as a theme for the window. The two side lancets were designed by Macaulay and Miles of Chicago. They, as in their earlier windows, used opalescent glass and jewels, while the center is painted glass. The fourth part is the flower section at the top of the window. This part was donated by the Sunday School of St. Paul's.